Let's look at folk art. Folk art is based in community and culture. Heather Galler is someone who's working today with folk art style. Folk art exists all around the world and is very colorful, often full of pattern, and has lots of repeating designs. It's passed from one person to the next through the generations. This is Carrie Ambrosino. She uses kind of a Mexican style, even though she works in the United States. Look at all these layers of petals and designs and patterns, dots, checks, squares. It's very beautiful for our eyes. Let's look at our large 12 by 18 piece of paper. We've got it straight up and down, vertical orientation. We're looking at the bottom third, and we're going to make a light pencil line across that bottom. This is going to be our table surface. With a curve on the bottom and two diagonal lines on the left and right, we can make kind of a vase or pot shape. The curved line will also be at the top of your vase. Now up in the empty space, you can decide on 3 circles or 5 circles. I heard once that odd numbers look great in still lifes, and I've gone with that ever since. I did 3 at first. These do not have to be perfect circles and should not be, and I decided to add a few more. We're going to be using an ink dauber, commonly used for bingo. It is filled with India ink, which can stain, but luckily with this dauber we can use it to get only on our paper and not on ourselves. We hold the ink dauber in our hand lightly and can test the flow on a scrap piece of paper. You're holding it vertically above your paper and pressing down while not squeezing, if maybe just a little bit to get it started. So now you can kind of free flow your ideas about flowers. They're based on circles, so you can create circles within circles, circles with petals, and you'll find that the ink dauber makes a big, black, beautiful, bold line and helps you decide how to move around the paper. Some of the art we saw from Carrie Ambrosino and Heather Galler had petals inside of petals. Some of it had some straight lines, but it was all very simple at first. You might involve some dots, and here are some radiating lines. And then leaves. If your picture has not become brim full with lines yet, you can add some leaves. Now you can create the vase lines that should stop whenever they come to a part of flower or leaf that's overlapping it. I did my line on my table, and now I'm repeating that little smile curve that I used on the bottom and top of my pot. You can make any design or pattern on your tablecloth. I went with diagonal lines. So now I'd like you to experiment with color. You can use a scratch paper to test out color combinations, but these neon oil pastels add a really fun zap of color into your art. Next, you will brush off your remaining oil pastel crumbs and get out your paper towel, watercolors, and brush. You have to wake up your watercolors by swirling a little bit of water into them and picking that paint up into your brush. You can paint directly over your oil pastel, and you'll see that it resists your paint. In between colors, make sure that you wash your brush so that your watercolor paints can stay bright and beautiful. I experimented a little bit with blending dark into light which is a really cool effect. We can see orange turning into yellow. So when your artwork is finished, you'll see those pops of color resisting the watercolor, and you'll have a very bright and energized work of art. Thanks.